Alice was a woman who appeared to have everything anyone could desire. At 50 years old, she had built a thriving business entirely from scratch, earning a reputation as a savvy entrepreneur and a compassionate problem solver. Her wisdom was admired by colleagues and competitors alike, and her ability to inspire others was unparalleled. Whether speaking to a small group or addressing a large crowd, Alice's words captivated her audience, holding their attention as though she spoke directly to each individual's heart. Beyond her business success, Alice was an accomplished author. She had penned several books on navigating relationships and overcoming life's challenges, many of which became bestsellers. Readers often praised her ability to weave practical advice with heartfelt storytelling, making her books relatable and impactful. Alice was proud of her achievements, and many looked to her as a role model for resilience and ambition. Yet, for all her accolades and the admiration she received, there was an emptiness within her that she couldn't ignore. Her life, though impressive to others, felt incomplete, like a puzzle missing a critical piece. Even when surrounded by friends, colleagues, and admirers, Alice often felt alone. Her social circles were filled with people who respected her success, but none seemed to fill the quiet void in her heart. It wasn't dissatisfaction with what she had achieved. Rather, it was a yearning for something deeper, something more meaningful that she couldn't quite define. For over 25 years, Alice had been married to James, a man who was dependable, kind, and loyal. Their marriage was steady, a partnership built on mutual respect and shared goals. James had always been there for her, offering support during difficult times and celebrating her triumphs. Yet, over time, the spark that once ignited their relationship began to fade. The spontaneity and passion they once shared were replaced by routine and predictability. Their conversations felt rehearsed, their days repetitive, and their lives together resembled a well-worn script. Alice couldn't pinpoint when the shift occurred, but she began to feel increasingly disconnected. In the early days of their marriage, they had embarked on adventures together, traveling to new places, trying new experiences, and laughing until their sides hurt. The vibrant energy that had defined their relationship now seemed like a distant memory. Instead of the excitement she once felt, there was a quiet monotony that left her longing for something more. As the years passed, Alice's feelings of dissatisfaction grew stronger. She found herself reminiscing about the person she used to be, a woman filled with curiosity and a thirst for life's wonders. The predictable rhythm of her days felt stifling, and the intimacy she once shared with James felt like a shadow of its former self. She yearned for a spark to reignite her spirit, for an experience that could shake her from the comfortable but unfulfilling life she had built. One fateful day, at a corporate event she attended out of obligation, Alice's life took an unexpected turn. Among the crowd of professionals was Kevin, a 25-year-old photographer whose youthful energy and enthusiasm were impossible to ignore. He moved through the room with ease, capturing moments with a keen eye that made even the ordinary seem extraordinary. Unlike the polished and reserved demeanor of the other attendees, Kevin exuded a raw authenticity that intrigued Alice. His laughter was contagious, his curiosity boundless, and his perspective on life refreshing. Their first interaction was unplanned. Alice, distracted by her thoughts, accidentally knocked over a glass of wine. Kevin was quick to assist, his warm smile immediately putting her at ease. "Are you all right?" he asked with genuine concern, his voice steady and kind. In that brief moment, Alice felt a flicker of something she hadn't experienced in years, a sense of connection and excitement. In the days that followed, Alice couldn't stop thinking about Kevin. Their brief conversation had left an impression, and when he reached out to thank her for complimenting his work, she was surprised by how eagerly she responded. What began as polite exchanges quickly grew into deeper conversations. Kevin had an uncanny ability to bring joy to even the most mundane topics. Whether they discussed the unpredictable weather or shared stories from their lives, Kevin's enthusiasm was infectious. Unlike the carefully curated interactions Alice was accustomed to in her professional world, Kevin was unfiltered and honest. He spoke openly about his dreams, his struggles, and his fascination with capturing life's fleeting moments through his camera lens. His authenticity was a stark contrast to the guarded personas Alice often encountered. Kevin's unapologetic approach to life was a reminder of the spontaneity and passion she had once cherished. Over time, their conversations became a highlight of Alice's day. She found herself drawn to Kevin's optimism and the way he embraced the world with open arms. His youthful energy awakened a dormant part of her, a part that longed for adventure and unrestrained joy. It wasn't just his age or perspective that captivated her. It was his ability to see beauty in the everyday and to live fully in the present. Alice began to question everything she thought she wanted. Was her life truly as fulfilling as it appeared? Or had she settled for comfort at the expense of passion and purpose? These questions echoed in her mind as she navigated the complexities of her emotions. Deep down, she knew she couldn't ignore the stirrings of her heart. It was time to rediscover herself, to seek the missing piece of her puzzle, and to embrace the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Kevin had always been someone who lived without pretense, someone who thrived on breaking the norms and bending the rules. His unfiltered, genuine approach to life had a way of disarming Alice, pulling her out of the shell she had carefully constructed over the years. It wasn't just his spontaneity that captivated her. It was the way he embraced both the highs and the lows of life with equal fervor. With Kevin, there was no hiding, no sugarcoating. He lived honestly, and that honesty made Alice feel alive in ways she hadn't experienced for years. Being around Kevin was intoxicating. He wasn't just a breath of fresh air. He was a gust of wind that threatened to scatter the carefully laid pieces of her life. Kevin's raw perspective on the world made her question everything she thought she knew about herself. His way of living, unapologetic and open, was like holding up a mirror to her own cautious existence. Slowly but surely, she found herself drawn to him in ways she hadn't anticipated, pulled toward the light he carried with him. One crisp evening, Kevin extended an invitation that would alter the course of their relationship. "Come to my studio," he said, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "I've been working on something I think you'll love." There was an energy in his voice that made it impossible to refuse. Alice arrived at his studio just as the last rays of sunlight filtered through the large windows. Kevin greeted her with his usual warm smile and led her to a corner filled with framed photographs. "This is it," he said, almost reverently. The series was extraordinary, unlike anything Alice had ever seen before. Kevin had been working on a project that captured the beauty of aging, a topic that was often ignored or shrouded in negativity. As Alice wandered through the studio, each photograph told a vivid story. There were portraits of elderly faces etched with wrinkles, hands worn and weathered, yet exuding a quiet strength. One image featured a woman in her 80s, her eyes bright with wisdom, seated beneath a tree that seemed to mirror her age. Another showed a grandfather holding the hand of his great-grandchild, their connection bridging decades. Alice was transfixed. Kevin had somehow found beauty in the inevitability of aging, turning it into a celebration rather than something to be feared. The soft light he used highlighted the dignity and grace of his subjects, making their experiences palpable through the lens. "This isn't just about getting older," Kevin explained, standing beside her as she gazed at a particularly striking photo of an elderly man laughing with his grandchildren. "It's about living fully, embracing every chapter of your life." For Alice, the project was more than art, it was a revelation. She had always associated aging with loss of beauty, vitality, and opportunities. Yet, here was Kevin, showing her that aging was also a gaining wisdom, perspective, and stories worth telling. "You see beauty in places most people overlook," Alice said softly, her eyes still fixed on the photograph. Kevin turned to her, his expression earnest. "I see beauty in you too, Alice," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. The words caught her off guard. No one had spoken to her like that in years, not with such vulnerability, such truth. Without thinking, she leaned closer, and their lips met in a kiss that was as tender as it was unexpected. It was a moment of pure connection, free of pretense or hesitation. From that night, their relationship transformed into something more. A passionate affair that was both exhilarating and frightening. For Alice, being with Kevin felt like stepping into a time machine. He brought back feelings she hadn't experienced in decades, feelings of being wanted, seen, and cherished. With him, the monotony of her routine life faded away, replaced by an electric energy that made every day feel like an adventure. But the age gap between them loomed in the background. While Kevin dismissed it as insignificant, Alice couldn't help but worry. What would people think? What would her children say? Society wasn't kind to women who dated younger men, and Alice knew the judgment would be harsh. Yet Kevin's admiration for her never wavered. "You're remarkable," he would often tell her, listening intently as she recounted stories of her life. To him, the years she had lived weren't a drawback, they were a testament to her resilience and wisdom. While Alice fretted over societal expectations, Kevin focused solely on who she was: intelligent, strong, and full of grace. But love, as Alice soon learned, is rarely without complications. Kevin's zest for life and his eagerness to explore the world often clashed with Alice's responsibilities and priorities. He wanted to travel, to push boundaries, and to start a family someday. For Alice, whose children were already grown, that future seemed impossible. One evening, as they sat in the glow of Kevin's studio lights, Alice spoke the words that had been weighing on her heart. "You deserve someone who can give you the life you want," she said, her voice breaking. Kevin reached for her hand, his own eyes glistening with tears. "And you deserve to be happy, Alice." Their love was real, but it wasn't enough to bridge the gap between their lives. They parted ways, heartbroken yet understanding. The relationship, as fleeting as it was, left an indelible mark on both of them. For Alice, the affair wasn't just about Kevin. It was about rediscovering herself. Through therapy and self-reflection, she began to understand the deeper reasons behind her choices. She realized that her longing for Kevin had been a longing for something within herself, a spark she had lost amid years of compromise and routine. She found joy in her independence, took up painting classes, and even traveled solo for the first time in her life. Slowly, she rebuilt her relationships with her children, who had initially struggled to understand her choices, but came to respect her journey of self-discovery. Kevin, too, carried the lessons of their time together. He pursued his art with a renewed passion, inspired by the wisdom Alice had shared with him. Alice's story is a testament to the power of authenticity. Her relationship with Kevin, though unconventional and fleeting, forced her to confront her true self. She emerged stronger, wiser, and deeply attuned to her desires. In the end, Alice found a profound sense of freedom, not from societal expectations or other people's judgments, but from her own self-imposed limitations. It was a freedom born of self-acceptance, and it carried her into the future with a confidence she had never known. True happiness, she realized, doesn't come from external validation, comes from within, from living authentically and embracing the imperfections that make life beautiful. For the first time in years, Alice was fully, unapologetically herself, and that was more than enough. Thank you for taking the time to watch our videos. If you find the content useful and interesting, don't forget to like, share, and especially subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. Our channel will always update attractive, inspiring, and useful content for you. Click the bell icon to receive notifications as soon as there are new videos. Your support is the biggest motivation for us to continue to develop. Thank you and see you in the next videos.